Welcome to this Plain Talk presentation. Most who are near or past the retirement starting line have some basic planning goals: to preserve their cherished personal independence and dignity, to not outlive their money, and above all, to never become a burden for their loved ones. These basic goals raise a host of issues. We discuss 10 of the big ones in this presentation. Can we really count on receiving the Social Security payments we've been promised? After all, we're constantly being told that the program will go broke in a few years and then quickly become an impossible burden for our kids and grandkids. How will health care reform impact our Medicare benefits? What about Medicaid? What is it? How does it work? Is it for us? Should we buy long-term care insurance? How can we plan to not end our life in a nursing home? What legal steps should we take to protect against a serious incapacity? What about probate? Should we try to avoid it? If so, how? What should be the plan if one of us dies? Should we be concerned about estate taxes? How can we help protect our kids and grandkids? For many, their retirement planning is a little scary. Their productive years are now in the rearview mirror, and one doesn't have to look very hard to see many completely dependent souls warehoused in shamelessly run nursing homes, just waiting to die as family members wrestle with gut-wrenching money compromises and financial resources disappear like clockwork. No one wishes to spend their final days this way. The numbers just stoke the fears. Surveys repeatedly confirmed that today the average retirement savings for a person north of 50 is $60,000. So there's a risk, actually it's a virtual certainty, that many are going to outlive their money. Then there are the big three government programs so many are counting on. The media tells us nearly every day that the first two, Social Security and Medicare, the two huge entitlements we've all been promised and paid into for decades, are in horrible financial shape. The popular term now used to describe these two behemoths is unsustainable. And the third program, Medicaid, well, that's targeted for those who can prove that they're already broke. Add to this a sure knowledge that 1 in 8 of us between the ages of 65 and 85 will suffer from dementia, a loss in mental capacity that wipes out all independence. And the percentage jumps to 50% for those over age 85. And of course, on top of all of this, there is the raw fear that has gripped all America and most of the free world as we have witnessed our economy plunge into a deep recession and chronic unemployment skyrocket, while our government continues to hawk the future of all Americans by spending at a pace no one could have imagined just a few years ago. Who would have thought 2009 would rack up a $1.4 trillion deficit, over 3.5 times the size of any annual deficit we had ever seen in the past? Or that our leaders would be projecting ongoing near-trillion-dollar annual deficits for the next decade? These deficits and the rapidly mounting federal debt they pile onto have everyone scared. What it all means for those crossing the retirement threshold, that perhaps now more than ever, planning for the final phase of life is critically important if you want to preserve your independence and dignity, not outlive your resources, and not become a burden for others. This presentation has only one purpose: to help educate retirees and soon-to-be retirees who want and need more information. At the end of some of the discussions, you may want to pause the presentation, take a breather while you think about a specific point, or discuss it with your spouse. And you may want to go through the presentation in more than one sitting. The idea is to take it at your own pace. Along the way, we're going to focus on how certain of the issues impact the retirement planning challenges of Nancy and Pete Rogers, who are both age 66. Nancy retired 4 years ago. Pete hung it up last year. They have 3 adult children, all married, and 5 grandchildren. Pete and Nancy's objectives are similar to those of most: make every day count, reduce money-related stress, spend and live wisely, never outlive their money, always be a support, not a drag on their kids and grandkids, and plan smart for tragedy and any burdens triggered in their final days. So let's get started with the questions.